I'm going to hop across and introduce our guests. Joining us on the broadcast, Major Mohd Ali Shah is with us. Advocate Shamravish Rain is with us on the broadcast. She's a lawyer in the Supreme Court of India. Major Mohd Ali Shah, this piece of stone which was found in the Gyanwapi Mosque was referred to by a leader of the AIMIM, in which he asked us to discuss the length, girth and the shape of Shivji's penis. And he was curious as to what Shivji's penis looked like. Would it be appropriate to have this conversation?
No, Rishabh, it would not be appropriate to have this conversation because it is derogatory, of course.
So it would not be appropriate to discuss you coming from a faith where idol worship is not only strongly discouraged, it is considered haram, and discussing any imagery of the Prophet is considered blasphemous. And that's a well-established fact. It's not something that we are here to converse upon. It's a well-established fact. Muslims don't do it. People who know Muslims, people around them, don't do it. So is it okay to be discussing the penis of Shivji? Major Shah?
It's not okay to discuss the penis of anyone for that matter. Why only Shivji? Of anyone, or yours or mine as well.
Okay.
Anyone.
So what Danish Qureshi did, for which he is now facing the consequence, for which a lot of apologists are standing up for him, was also impolitic. He did not mean it as a compliment or a query. He meant it as an insult. Major Shah, let's jump in. For both the sake of the Hindus, the Muslims and one nation theory tonight. What have we just woken up to? What have we just woken up to, sir?
Rishabh, it's really gruesome. The entire, in fact, the hate is going to spread further, and this venom from both sides is going to be very, very dangerous for our country. And when you ask Shams the question about people buying M.F. Hussein's paintings, well, Rishabh, it is what M.F. Hussein drew was wrong. No one has a right to insult any faith, because faith, religion is a very personal matter. It's between you and your maker and nobody else. But people have to realize that M.F. Hussain, people are the ones who made him, unnecessarily. They made much of him. They bought his paintings for crores. It wasn't Muslims who bought his paintings. They were people from all faiths for a very wrong thing. He would take a brush and if he just draw two lines, modern art, it would be sold for crores of rupees. Why? Because a big brand, M.F. Hussain made it. But then, ultimately, you saw what happened to M.F. Hussain. He had to take refuge in a foreign country, to Qatar. He took nationality of that place and he had to...
Yeah, Qatar is a very interesting country. For people watching this broadcast, we've done a recent conversation of a series on Qatar, and the portal that they run, you know it as Al Jazeera, it's owned and operated by the Qatari royal family, on exactly how they treat people in Qatar. Which brings me, Major Shah, before I get Ms. Rain back into this conversation, to the hard realities. And we have to be able to face them, because we need to hear voices of reason who say, yes, if something has gone wrong, it's gone wrong. If I look to the left of me and to the right of me and to the north of me, there is genocide taking place. In Pakistan, in Bangladesh, we've seen it happen, and in Xinjiang, actively taking place. Are we on the cusp, Major Shah, of a genocide of Muslims in India? Are you afraid of your life as you walk out the door?
No, I am not, Rishabh. I am not scared of my life at all, and I didn't feel scared for my life in the army, and in my country I'm at home. I feel very much at peace over here, and we are not at the cusp of any genocide. Let anyone report anything. When you suspect that they are right, you will fall prey to it. So I urge my brothers and sisters not to fall into reports like that. We should continue living in cultural harmony. We have to coexist together, and religion is a very personal matter, and it should not be for both the sides.
Okay. Has Narendra Modi or any of his cabinet colleagues done anything or said anything in the last 8 years that you perceive as Hindu fanaticism?
Could you repeat the question again, Rishabh?
Has Narendra Modi as Prime Minister or any of his cabinet colleagues done or said anything in 8 years that you perceive as Hindu supremacist fanaticism?
No, they haven't. They haven't. But it is perceived that way by a large section of people from my community, and they would be having the reasons. But I haven't heard anything of that kind of fanatic thing.
Okay, I promise you, I've got reasonable people, Indians of the Muslim faith with me right now. Major Shah, of course, is, appeared in movies. He's a far bigger personality than both you and me combined. We are professionals, but he's a better known name. And even then, today what he is saying, his commentary won't go viral. The reason it won't go viral is because he's saying the sensible, the righteous and the logical things. Okay, because he's not talking through his hat. And this is it's a human psychological problem. So let me now take on the other big issue. And I know it's not easy, but let's take it on. Major Shah, if you're a Hindu in this country, and you're looking at Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Turkey, you're not seeing good things happening. Now, do you draw it as a coincidence that in a lot of the Islamic countries of the world, unhappy things are taking on? In Saudi Arabia, the home of Makkah, Medina, the ability of a woman to drive a car is a recent reform. What does that tell us?
Most certainly, Rishabh, had I been on the other side, had I been a non-Muslim and I had seen such kind of things happening in the Islamic countries, I would definitely, in fact, why only being from the other religion? Being a Muslim, I have lived in Saudi Arabia. My father was the defense attaché in Saudi Arabia, and we found this was the mid-90s, and we found it to be very regressive at that time, because a lady could not go out without an abhaya. She had to be accompanied by a meram, which means a brother, a son, a father, or a husband. And they couldn't drive at that time. There were a lot of restrictions. They had to be, whether you are a Muslim or not, you had to be inside at the salah time, which is the prayer time. Otherwise, the religious police was there on the patrol. They would catch you. So we would find it very, very suffocating. And that is the reason why even Arabs, for that matter, on weekends, they go take a weekend getaway to Bahrain, where they cross the longest bridge and they go there. We used to go there.
All their rich elite live abroad for this particular reason. Now,
Correct.
Major Shah, that if you're looking at the current state of Islamic republics, I'm not talking about 30, 40 years ago where things were different. And yes, you can blame the Russians and the Americans for running modern day oil crusades and whatnot, and a lot of nasty things. These are all truisms. This is a fact. Okay, we all know where Osama got his initial funding from and who was supporting him. But in the end, they perchance happen to be Islamic countries. So we are surrounded by bad examples on how to treat your own people and how to treat minorities. Now, how do we run away from this? If we can't run away from this, how do we accept it that we are surrounded by bad examples?
Okay, Rishabh, I will answer that in a very, in a way which everyone should be able to understand. Now, when I am seeing the visuals of these two terrorists, when on news channels, on social media, trust you me, two men with beards, skull cap, without a mustache, and the way they are speaking barbarically, I, being a Muslim myself, I am getting a chill down my spine. I'm getting shivers and jitters watching them. Trust you me, I am getting scared of them. Trust me, I am. That is the kind of.
But that's what they call. That's why it's called terrorism. It's meant to terrorize you.
Correct. So now this is a scene, and let me tell you, I go for Friday prayers in the mosque. I have seen many people with beards and skull caps, but that is the image that these people are projecting. Now, what will a common, let's be logical and rational, a common person who's not a Muslim, he will have that image in his mind. That if you have a beard, if you wear a skull cap, that means you are a dangerous person. And that is where the whole root of Islamophobia sets in.
No, but we have to now, and I recommend this very earnestly, and this is not going to be the first time I've tried to have this conversation. Hopefully, not many opportunities will arise, but we'll try to have this conversation under better circumstances. The Muslims of India, who numerically number near 200 million, okay, by the time the next census comes out, there will be more Muslims here in modern day India than in Pakistan, okay, have to now address this larger issue because there's no running away from it. The examples of Islamic republics around us in terms of treatment of minorities is abhorrent to the point of genocidal. The treatment of human rights is abhorrent to the point of farcical. The interpretation of extremist versions of Islam is disturbing. And this communication needs to be heralded because we represent in this country a large Muslim population for the world community. And this disowning has to happen, because if we somehow side with the bad examples, we will forever condemn ourselves to telling other religions, including Hindus, that we are either apologists or defenders of unhappy practices elsewhere. We don't stand for that. We don't represent that. Last quick question. Major Shah, would there be any other country that you would want to live in?
No, Rishabh, definitely no.
No.
I was born here
Definitely
in
not.
India, and my generations were born over here, and I would be buried here. There is no other country I can think of going and living in, Rishabh.
And I think Advocate Rain has also said the same thing. All of us have had the opportunity. I was studying in England and I've come back. And I promise you, the hope of the world is in this country. So the service that is due from the sons and daughters of the soil is to here. Let's perform that service when we are under attack. This is no different than what has happened in 2611.